was thinking in this current time of a lot of crisis and uncertainty with COVID-19 and the economic impact, just the challenges we're facing today, and thinking how it certainly is unprecedented in my lifetime. I've certainly not seen anything like this before. And it got me thinking about the impact of that. I'm thinking about what are the long-term implications on our culture, in our organizations, on work life. It also made me think just in a little bit more human sense of the fears and insecurity that are created. And I thought today I would just offer a thought about this and how do we deal with a time of fear and insecurity with the challenges like this, and what are some thoughts of how we approach that. And there's obviously a lot of things that we can do to address concerns like that and challenges like that. We can read books and lots of videos around fears and insecurity. Today I just really want to focus on what I think is one of the most fundamental strategies I think of in moments like this, and it's basically, what are our values and what do we believe to be true? What is truth and where do we get truth from? And I share that not because, it may sound even a bit cliche, or maybe it's oversimplified, or even a bit too philosophical, that what does it mean to us today? And what I'm thinking about, to me it's in moments exactly like this, when there's crisis, when there's stress, when there's fears, these insecurities, these challenges we're facing that we don't know what it will look like a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month, 2 months from now, and the uncertainties around the virus that's spreading, or around the economic impact, or other challenges that we'll face not only at businesses and organizational level, but in our personal lives. It made me think about, how do we begin to address those fears and concerns, those insecurities? How do we build strength? One is, and maybe in a different video I'll talk about this, how do we lead from strength? How do we lead with strength and clarity? But today I want to talk more about how do we lead, or how do we live based out of values and truth? How do we let those values and that truth guide us to remain calm and exercise wisdom? Wisdom is one of those things that I think that we don't talk about much, and you can go to our videos on our YouTube page, and there's a couple of videos about wisdom. Today it's more looking at, where do we get the calmness and the wisdom from? And the word I wanted to focus on today is courage. It's a word that we use once in a while, but really looking at what is courage and what does it mean and where does it come from. And I looked in the dictionary, and some definitions of courage are this: the ability to do something that is frightening, strength in the face of pain or grief, mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. And in my own words, I simply put it this way: to act in spite of our fears. Courage to me is when we're challenged with all these issues and struggles, and we're afraid, we're insecure, we're not sure what's coming, and yet we continue to move forward and act. To me, that is courage. And where do we get courage from? I believe it comes from our sense of values, what we believe and what we see to be true. Now is a time more than ever that we have to be clear about who we are, about what we think, feel, and believe about life. And do we stand on those values? Do we stand on those truths in these moments? To me, that's when our values are tested, right? Is when we're faced with challenges and difficulties like this, we get to see, who are we really? So for example, I see organizations today that have come out in the last week or so and said, you know what, we have to close for the next 2 weeks. Wow, that's crazy hard, right? That's something we've just not seen. And yet the company has stepped up in many cases to say, and we're going to pay our employees for those 2 weeks. Even though they can't work, schools are closed, kids have to be home, we're going to pay our employees, that if they cannot work, we're going to pay them while they're home to take care of their families for these 2 weeks. That to me is based out of values. It's based out of a sense of truth they have, of what right is and what wrong is. And do we have the courage to do these difficult things in the face of fears and unknowns and difficulties and challenges and uncertainties, the dangers that we don't know, can we persevere through them? Companies can do that. We can do that as individuals. As we look around and, we see the stories, and I've seen it, right? We go to grocery stores or whatever, we see shelves are empty. We see the videos of people fighting over the last gallon of water, or the last loaf of bread, or whatever happens to be. Our values and what we think, feel, and believe in our truth shows up in those moments. So my question today is, what do you believe? What do you believe to be true? What are your values? Do you know them? Have you thought about them? And today is the day that we have an opportunity to stand up courageously and live them out. Can we live out our values? Can we live out truth, right? And not fall victim to fear, to insecurity, and cause us or lead us to doing things that are not okay? But can we be a source of strength, a source of confidence, a source of calm in these unprecedented times of difficulty and challenge? So I'm asking individuals and business to think, what are your values? What is truth? Where does it come from? And are we willing to have the courage to stand on those today in spite of the challenges and fears we face? I hope you find that encouraging, and I encourage you to live your values today in spite of what's going on around us.